No matter how dysfunctional your background, how broke or broken you are, where you are today, or what anyone else says, you matter, and your life matters. That is a quote by Germany Kent.
Welcome to Trina Talk. Trina Talk is a weekly podcast that will inspire and empower women of all ages to strive for the impossible. Your host, Trina L. Martin from TrinaMartin.com, is a motivational speaker, leader, and cyber tech expert. Every week, Trina will share wisdom gained from her life experiences and lessons learned while pursuing her goals to inspire you to achieve the next level in your life. Now, your host, Trina L. Martin.
Hello, welcome to Trina Talk. I am your host, Trina L. Martin, and this is episode 34. The topic of this week's episode is You Matter. My guest this week is Oryne Stewart. Oryne is a man who lives his life with purpose. He believes his purpose is to help people see how important they are to this world and the reason they live. Oryne believes we all have a story and that our stories must be shared. As a motivational speaker, radio personality, life coach, husband, and father of 5, Oryne believes there is still time to serve those in need. With a team of amazing people, Oryne is able to bring to the world a positive dose of inspiration through podcasting and talk radio. As he continues to grow in his quest to reach and speak to people around the world, his faith is what he relies on to be his motivation. Hi, Oryne. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Trina. How are you? Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here. This is kind of interesting to me because you are a podcaster as well. You're in Baltimore. I'm in Houston. And you have a couple of podcasts, but I listen to the O Factor, and it's the who, what, and why from everyday people. Tell me a little bit about yourself and your podcast, because I think we have some things in common.
Gotcha. Okay, no problem. Well, like you mentioned, my name is Oryne Stewart. I've been doing radio for about 3 years now. I also am a one co-host out of 5 of us called Style and Substance. It's a Facebook live stream show. But my particular podcast that I have of my own is called The O Factor. It's getting an opportunity to just get to know people and their stories and what they do and what has inspired them to see something within themselves that they would like to do and share with the world. So I've had people on from hairstylists to professional football players to just everyday people, chefs. So just everyday people who really have a story to share and tell the journey of how they got from where they were to where they are.
I love that because, as you know, here at Trina Talk, I do something similar, but mine centers around inspiration and motivation. And I like hearing other people's stories because I think that inspires. Everyone has a story, and my story is different from your story. My walk is different from your walk. And I think hearing different people's stories and perspective of how they've gotten to a place where they've strived and achieved to get may impact the same person differently or multiple people. So, Oryne, tell me a little bit about you. Give me some background about yourself and how you came to be a podcaster.
Wow, such an amazing question. Actually, I appreciate you asking that. I'll start here. And I'll be 42 this year. I'm married. My wife and I have 5 children. So I'll kind of like make that as a point to and I say end that, but then I'm going to rewind. So as a kid, I always enjoyed talking. Like everybody knows me. I love to talk. I love to listen. I love to get to know people, and just always really been inspired to help motivate and help encourage people to see really what life is about. Just how much of their existence matters. So just always been somebody that has positioned myself to listen to people. Really, I'm very much big on letting people see that if they never felt like anybody cared about who they are, I care about who they are. So getting to where I'm at now, being able to do stuff in media and being able to, have an opportunity with a platform to have people share their stories as well as myself. It's kind of like a match made in heaven, with podcasting and radio and all of the different type of streams that we can now take advantage of. It's given me an opportunity to really help people see that even if they don't see their lives as something special, but that it actually is something special, and that it can impact and inspire somebody to if it's to get up off the sofa, to get up out of the bed, to quit a job and start a new one, to become an entrepreneur, whatever the case may be. That's pretty much where now coming full circle to the O Factor. That's what the O Factor is. The O Factor is a show that we look for old moments, those moments that make you say, oh, wow, I never knew that, or oh, wow, how inspiring. So that's really what the O is. Also, it is the O in my name, my first initial. But the biggest thing is just amazing moments. I've taken the A out of amazing, and I have a thing I say amazing instead of amazing. So it's really just highlighting amazing stories and amazing people and amazing moments. That's really what the O Factor is about, and that's pretty much who I am and what it is that I love to do. Hopefully, I answered your question.
Yes, you did, and I'm really geeking out here because it's and I don't want to sound biased, but you don't find too many men who are doing what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. I understand. That's true.
Okay, you got me.
I keep hearing that.
Yeah, you don't, and so it's what as you were speaking, I was going, yeah, he's like the male version of me, and you don't.
Wow.
You don't hear many men who are taking that route of inspiration. Not in podcasting. It's more, the sports, male things. It's not.
Yes.
I call this a soft skill.
Yes. I agree.
So that is what I'm so impressed with. And what you said is you like to let people know that they matter.
Yes. That means everything to me. Yes.
That is so powerful. It's just, and we all need that, but I don't think we know personally within ourselves sometimes that we matter. And I don't think there's always a support system around to tell you that.
I would agree. Yes.
So, I mean, just, but how did you get to that place of saying, okay, you know what, I want to be a good listener? Because you and I both know there's a difference between listening and hearing.
It sure is. I look, and I'm going to use the terminology. I preach that all the time. So here's why I'm saying this. I have a scripture on my, so I'm a Christian. I'll start off by saying that. And one thing that's very important to me is my faith. So here in my home, I have a thing I change out different quotes and sayings from time to time. So right now I have the scripture, James 1:19, which says, be quick to listen and slow to speak so that you're slow to become angry. And I have it so that everybody in my home, when they leave out of the door, they can remind themselves to position themselves to listen to life, to listen to people. So for me, really where it came from is just really believing that God has us to turn our ears on to one another and to really turn on and tune our ears into one another so that we can really, really see how special we all are, no matter within our differences, but just really why we all exist and why we all really are getting and having an opportunity to impact this world in an amazing way. So, that's really, I would have to say, where it came from. So it's just growing and becoming more bold within what it is that I believe that is true and what I believe that is important for people to know that no matter who they are, where they are, and where they're coming from, that they matter. Just I would have to say point blank, period, that they're important.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's a oh wow, like you were saying. So, like I said, I'm really loving this because I'm thinking, wow, that's exactly how I feel.
Yes.
So my question to you is, because just like me, and I'm at the same point where you are, how did you get to that point? What was your thing or the it to make you say, you know what, I want to change my life and live it this way?
I have to start here, and I'll tell you something interesting about that question. You mentioned that you're in Houston, right?
Yes.
2 years ago, my wife and I, 2 to 3 years ago, I can't remember exactly. I want to say it was 2017 or 16. We came to a marriage conference down in Houston at Lakewood at Joel Osteen's church. And my life changed that day, where I really saw how powerful the message of God was on a larger scale. And here's why I wanted to use this as an example. I mean, I would have never known that you were from there. So this really kind of just even as we're speaking, it just kind of set me on course to say I had to share this story. So where I was already, kind of in this beginning stages of moving into doing what I'm doing now in media. So I'm a life coach. Let me start up there. I have a degree in social work. I do counseling and things of that nature. I started a consultant business about 5 years ago, and I work with the youth here in Baltimore. So I'm jumping around, but it's all going to tie in. So what it is when I came there to the marriage conference, and I got an opportunity to really see, just God be experienced, the presence of God be experienced and shared on a whole nother level. It just really let me know that the opportunity that all of us are really given to impact this world and figure out who we are is right in front of us. And to some people, they may say, oh, that sounds so cliche. It sounds so corny, but it really, really doesn't. It's so, so true. It's just that we have to take the time to be willing to listen to what the world is saying to us individually, then in turn impacts us. And then it's for us to impact this world collectively. So that's really how things started for me. Really, honestly, you wouldn't believe it, but coming to where you are set me on course. It's something about Houston. My wife and I actually were considering, and it's still on the table, even considering relocating to Houston because we were so impacted by Texas and just the spirit of what Texas has. So really, honestly, and I couldn't say it any different. It's something about where you are and really what changed our lives as a family. But that really gave me another charge in the battery in my back to really make sure that what it is that I'm doing here continuously grows to be able to provide opportunity, not just for myself, but for others to share their story.
That is so good. And it's funny you share your story about Houston. And I have a story about Houston because I've been here 8 years now. And
wow.
And I'm originally from Chicago, and I've lived all over. I'm a naval officer, and I've lived all over. But 8 years ago, a job brought me to Houston, and I didn't have any choice in it. They just said, "Okay, you're moving to Houston. We're moving you there."
Yeah.
And I was going, "Why? Why there?" Because where I was living at the time, they had an office there, and that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, well, for sure they would not move me and spend, have the expense of relocating me and my family and my home when there's an office here. Well, that's what they did. So long story short, I get here and I just encountered so many different issues and problems. And I fell to my knees and I was going, Lord, why did I leave the life I had, which was comfortable?
Yes.
Come here and go through all of this, this is happening, that is happening. It seems like, I get up, I get knocked back down. Why? Well, when I stop to be still, to listen and to reflect, God put it on my heart that he didn't bring me here for the job. He didn't have, he didn't have to bring me to Houston to give me a job. I had a job. But kind of like you, I start seeing my purpose, which is what I'm doing now is speaking, and I want to do coaching, leadership coaching, and empowering women, inspiring them. And I'm also in the process of writing a book. So everyone, you just heard it here.
Wow.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll be done. I'm hoping here soon. But I found that was my purpose, my calling. And I listened to, and I used to go to Joel Osteen's church. Right now, I'm a member of Bishop Jake's in Dallas because I was going to Dallas a lot, and so I there whenever I'm in town, I go there. But when I'm not, I stream him. But I don't know if you're familiar with his new book, Crushing.
Not familiar. I have to definitely pick it up.
Okay, so he has the book Crushing that just came out a couple months ago, and basically he goes through and he talks about all the different things we go through life that crush us. And the purpose of it, and there is a purpose, and nothing just happened. There's a plan. And that's what I began to see from my life. I said, this is what I was meant to do. I was meant to inspire others and impact others. And that's what I want to use my voice for, because like you, I talk a lot. And when I was young, that's what I did. So now I'm taking that to empowering women, speaking, doing coaching, writing this book. So it's just funny how you say that. And it's funny how life happens. And when you sit back and tap into yourself and God, the things that you can see and the path that you can take.
Yes. So true. So true. I was just saying it last week on my closing episode for my first season of The O Factor. The gentleman I had on, I mentioned as we were talking that it's not for us to seek out our purpose, but for us to follow the will of God, and in turn, our purpose will find us. And that's just, to me, really what I think is so important for us to really share. We hear so much about purpose, but we really don't get a chance to hear many people talk about how, when God created us, and not to just kind of sound preachy, but just to keep it real for all people, even people who don't believe, that at the end of the day, we've all been created with a purpose to do something that is only set out for us to do. Now, will it be so grandiose and something that somebody will tune in to watch or listen to? Maybe not. It may be something that somebody, that's just walking on the street gets an opportunity to have one's life be impacted by somebody else. But that's why, to me, just kind of really highlighting why what you're doing and what I'm doing as far as us really wanting to help people see how important they are and why the story that lies within them has to be shared is because we all have a purpose. We all have, just something that's special. And I, Grant, I guess because I do this all the time and I'm always talking like this, so it's funny kind of to hear myself say it again and again. I love to have the opportunity to kind of repeat and be consistent in saying the same thing, because I think that's what the world is missing right now is a full dose of positivity. We get so much of negativity pushed upon us visually and audibly, through what we listen to, through what we see. But if we just tune our ears and our hearts into realizing that it's just as much positivity as negativity it is in the world, we just have to choose to, tune in. It's like the half a glass of water, half full, half empty. It's both all day long, but which one do we choose to, which way do we choose to look at it, type of thing?
I agree. And I feel the same way. There's so much negativity going on in the world. And that was one of the reasons why I stopped watching the news, because I found myself getting stressed out watching the news.
Yes,
and
indeed.
I just came to the conclusion. I said, I'm not going to add to this. If anything, I'm going to be positive. And if people want to talk to me, that's what I want to talk about. Just something positive, something encouraging.
Yep.
I don't want to be part of the madness and the drama and gossip. I don't have time for that. And I refuse to let that come into my life. So
true.
So as you're going through life and you're doing your podcast, what have been some of your oh wow moments? What have some of your guests said that you thought and said, oh wow, I never thought about that, or that's something that I learned?
Yeah. I'll tell you, look, and that's an amazing question. I'm going to go back to one of my first shows. I had a young lady on, actually my very first show, Miss Sharia Savage. She has a hair salon here, so she's hopefully I'm saying it right, a master stylist. And she was talking about, and granted, this may seem very left field, but she was educating me and my listeners on the importance in taking care of your scalp. And that how so many of us do not really understand that it's more than just washing your hair and putting a oil in it of choice. But it's important to know that the scalp has so much to do with the health of the head and the health of the body. So that was like my initial oh wow moment of the 25 episodes that I've had for this first season. It started the ball off rolling, that I was like, wow, I didn't realize that having somebody come in and share their story about hair and about how they got into becoming a stylist, that they were going to educate me on my scalp and educate my listeners on the purpose of, taking care of their scalp. So I share that particular story because that was the initial moment. Like literally, I can remember saying it now, like, wow. And she just said, this is something that she has always inspired to want to share with the world. And that's what really let me know that it doesn't matter what we do. Everybody has something that will impact somebody else's life to have them say, so it's an episode I have that it's called Solo Show with O, and it's like my sixth or seventh episode. But that's what I said on that particular one. It was just really highlighting my first 6 episodes and sharing with my listeners that this is what you're going to get from this show. And mind you, I've had I think I had 25 in my first season, but that was the biggest thing. Those moments of things that we really we don't think that much about, but it's something that we all do. Everybody washes their hair or put something in it, but how important it is to take care of the top of your head, your crown, and the importance in health from the top on down to to our feet. So that was one of my number one moments just from the beginning. I could tell you more, but that was one.
And I'm sitting here listening to you going, wow, myself, because it's not something that you think of, your scalp. You just think, okay,
exactly.
Hair. And like for me being a woman, I just think, okay, I need to wash and condition so my hair can be nice and pretty and smell good. But you don't think further than that, as far as, like you said, your guest was saying about the overall health of your body. And how that plays into that. And I'm a firm believer, just like you said, everyone adds value in some kind of way.
Yes.
We all may not be able to speak on platforms, or like you said, it may not be something, your gift may not be something grand, and it may not even be something that you necessarily get paid for, but everybody brings something to the table.
So true. So true. Yes. If I can highlight another particular component that we have of our show, it's called Get Comfortable with Being Uncomfortable. It's a series, and I do it with a young lady who is my assistant. She's my assistant producer, but she's moving into a position of becoming possibly a co-host with me. And what we do is we talk about topics that are normally uncomfortable, but the importance of us needing to talk about it. So what we had, one of our first installments of Get Comfortable with Being Uncomfortable, was the importance of having the conversation about sex with your children. So that one was powerful. I mean, I've had people walk up to me and say, that particular show inspired them. And I'll tell you one thing that really, really let me know that we had to make that a part of our full show was I had a lot of fathers. I had a lot of men come up to me, and that really hit me, because they were saying, I want to talk to my child or my daughter about this, and I don't know how to do it. I feel uncomfortable, and I happen to, somebody suggested to me to listen to your particular episode about it, and they were like, it really motivated. It inspired them to see that it's something that no matter how uncomfortable it is, it still needs to happen. So that was another one. I had to throw that one out to share with you. That was really powerful.
I think I need to listen to that one too, because I have two teenagers, and I've been kind of dreading. We've talked about it here and there, but I have to laugh because when it came to puberty and first getting into the sex education, the school sent home the form saying, do you allow your child permission to this? And I said, yeah, okay. And then so I went out and I bought books for them. So I have a girl and a boy, and I was like, okay, read these books and let me know if you have any questions.
Yes, indeed.
Because I was like, oh my goodness, and I did give them a little talk, but the book was more on their level. But it's something that's uncomfortable, and it has to be done. Because,
yes, indeed.
Because if it doesn't, you don't want the opposite of when you don't talk to them.
Exactly.
But that is so good that you took that topic and decided to do an episode on that.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We have created it as an installment now of the O Factor. So we've had 3 episodes. The first one was talk to your children about sex. The second one actually was with 2 youth, a brother and a sister, that they wanted to talk about, the challenges that they have of living their lives as young believers in God, and the adversity that they experience. So being able to have a conversation with your parents and with your support of how uncomfortable that life is, but how important it is to live. So that one was another powerful one. And then we had another one that was dealing with PTSD, with the post-trauma that so many people experience, but especially our first responders and our soldiers that fight for our country. So I'll tell you something. to kind of go back to a question you asked me earlier, because as we're talking, is having me remember, I am in such awe of just this opportunity. And I always give glory to God on how he's allowing me to be able to have a platform to share, as well as to have others come and share with me their stories of just the amazing man of who we are as a people. You know, like you and I both were saying, we hear and we see so much negativity, and we know that it's enough of good things happening in the world that could balance it out, if not drown it out. You know, drown out the negativity. We just have to we just have to make it our duty to use our platforms to do so. And it sounds like this is what you're doing, and it definitely is something that I'm doing.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I have a question for you. And with that being our themes and our purpose, how do you find people reacting to that? Or how do you go about letting people know that that's maybe a way to change their life, change their mindset?
I would have to probably say the number one way that I've done, and it's something that I've made it a duty of mine, especially probably in the past 3 to 5 years, is living it. You know, really, really embracing it by living it, more than it being something that I say, but letting it be fully what I do. And I think before it was always something that mattered to me to do it, but where we're human, we make mistakes, we fall short, and we're going to always, because that helps us to realize, you know, where we need to get back up and make some adjustments. But that would probably be the biggest thing, choosing to live it more than say it, which is now with a platform that I've had over the, past 3 years, and where this has begun and opened up a whole new door. But it's now, this is what people say to me. So this is not really me saying, it's what people say to me. They cannot wait to listen to the next show or wait for the next whatever it is that I have going on, because they've got an opportunity to experience me and the consistency of how I live my life as much as I can, and the transparency of how I'm willing to share who I am. They're always just excited for whatever platform or whatever opportunity that they can tune into whatever it is that I'm doing and whoever it is that I'm talking to. So that would probably be the biggest thing, just choosing to live it more than speak it.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. I'm doing the same as well. And it's amazing. And it's funny because I'm a Christian as well. But when I started to do this podcast, I was thinking, no one is going to listen to me. I'm a nobody. But it's amazing how many people do. And then, like you said, they come up to you and they're like, oh, I can't wait for next week. As soon as Monday comes and I see, it pops up that you have a new episode, I'm listening. And I never thought that this platform would be that platform for me. And it's just amazing. And I have interviewed some amazing people, and just like you, I've met people who I was just like, wow, okay. Didn't think of things like that. In particular, probably about a month ago, I interviewed a lady from Australia, and she owns her own company. And we were just talking about leadership, things like that. And something that she said to me that I had never thought about, but something that I was like, I think I want to implement that. She says every morning she just stands at the door and greets her employees, and
wow.
shakes their hand, or, hey, how's it going? How was your evening? How's your family? And I thought, and she's like, of course she doesn't have a big company, but she said it's worth her taking that time out of her day in the morning for her employees to see her and for her to connect. And I thought, that is brilliant.
It really is.
It's brilliant, because you're actually telling people that I have time for you.
Yeah, that I value you. Yes.
Yes, and I value you. So she stands at the door every morning, and she said, I don't care what I'm doing, what I have, when I know, the employees are starting to come in. She said, I hold calls. I don't do meetings. This is what I do.
Wow.
And
that is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yes, it is. Wow. Look, I'm taking a page out of that book, because as you were speaking, I was thinking about it even starting at home, when I was, wow, as you were saying, I was thinking about the fact that even with our families and our children and our spouses or whoever lives, with us in our home, just the importance of greeting one another and starting our day off with a smile and with a, hope you had a good night's sleep or whatever the case may be. And then taking that into into our workplaces, that is powerful. She really is. She is changing lives just by, the greeting. That is really amazing. I like that.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I told her, I said, I'm gonna use that in my leadership, toolbox. And she was like, yeah, feel free. But it's something amazing, and it's something, and it's funny. Even before I heard her do it, and I kind of do it unconsciously, but with my children, because I'm a single mother, every day they would come in from school, I would say, hey, how was your day?
Yeah.
And of course, with teenagers, you get the, oh, okay, same day, blah blah blah. But
it was good.
Yeah, it was good. It was okay.
Yeah.
But some days, like at the dinner table, they would actually go into some detail, and that's just my routine, because I figure, they're human. They've had a day just like I had a day outside the house, and maybe they want to talk about it. And it's funny because when I was growing up, I never had that. When I did want to speak and talk to my mother, I was always told, shut up and go sit down somewhere.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I never had that opportunity. And that was one of my things. I said, I am determined not to create and keep this generational curse going. I'm going to do some things differently.
I like that you say that. You're speaking my language with that breaking generational curses. I'm with you on that. Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
So,
It's important, and if I can add this to it, to what you're saying, it's so important for us to recognize that as people, we all have something that is specific for us to do in order to usher in change. And when we think about, like you're saying, the lady in Australia with her business, to where it impacted you, with you sharing it to me today, it's impacting my life. That's the chain reaction. That's just what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to share something that we're doing that maybe we don't even know if it's been done before. Maybe it has been done before, but we never know whose life it'll impact to have something change for them for that moment, which in turn breaks, strongholds and breaks things that were going on in their lives that we may never know about. So I agree 100% with that. That is powerful.
Yeah, very powerful. So you have a second podcast, right?
Yes, I am a co-host on another podcast. It's called Life's Tough, and that's the host of that show. His name is Dustin Planholt, and that particular show, that's another great show. I tell you, we have high caliber guests that come on in. I say high caliber meaning because we've had people from Evander Holyfield, and everybody knows who that is. We've had a baseball legend. His name is B.J. Surhoff. He's played for the Baltimore Orioles, and I don't follow baseball, but I know it's another professional baseball league in Georgia, I believe. We've had Stacey Stewart on, that's the president of March of Dimes. That was a powerful show. We've had a handful of actors and things of that nature, and other professionals. But that particular podcast, what I love about that podcast is it's highlighting the stories of people who have made it to the next level of professionalism in whatever they do, but how down to earth that they are, and how their story of how they got to where they are is no different from us everyday people. So that's that's what I also love about that particular podcast. So if you get a chance, check that out as well. It's called Life's Tough. Dustin actually has a book coming out called Life's Tough. I forgot the second part of it, but it's due to come out in July, I believe. Another great podcast. Yeah,
I will. That sounds amazing. And actually, I went to college with Evander Holyfield's brother. So.
Oh wow! So you're at 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yeah,
Man,
so that was really good.
Yeah, man, I'm just really, I'm really glad that we connected, because, like I said, I hadn't found a male that was on this path of using their voice for empowerment and things like that. So where do you want all of this to go? And tell me about your life coaching.
I tell you, you read my mind. I was curious to see if you were going to go in that direction. So we're definitely on the same page. I'm looking for it to, for me, I want to travel the world. I want to be able to reach people all over, with this opportunity of really feeling like I want to share with everybody that they matter, so, and that's really what my whole motto is helping everybody realize that they're important. So for me, it's being able to, do this. And I'm going to use the terminology for a living. So what I mean by that, granted, like I said, I'll be 42 this year, but meaning that's what my bread and butter is. That's what I'm able to, travel and speak. So as a kid, I remember the Lord placed in my heart that I wanted to be a motivational speaker, and didn't think that much about what it meant. But I was inspired by Les Brown. I was inspired by Oprah. I was inspired by Michael Jordan. I was inspired by everybody. People that I felt like, either by way of speaking or movement, they were changing lives. They were inspiring people. So getting into life coaching, like you asked me, I have my degree in social work. I graduated from Oregon State University here in Baltimore back in, when was that, 2000, I think it was. And I moved from engineering, interestingly enough. I went into engineering first, really didn't know what I wanted to do, but everybody kept saying, go where the money is. And within my first semester, I realized that money didn't matter to me in the same way that it mattered to other people. Service mattered to me more. People mattered to me more. So I got into social work. I got into taking a few classes within the Black diaspora, learning about African diaspora. Learning about my who I am as a person, and getting a chance to figure out why I think the way I think, why I feel the way I feel, and things of that nature. So really, the life coaching, and I'll fast forward real quick to get to this. I've worked in my field for years. My youngest daughter is 11. So about 12 years ago, my wife said to me, she said, Oryne, she said, why don't you think about leaving your job and starting your own, doing something different. So I did that, but I did it. It took about 2-3 years before I took her up on that offer. But I was a stay-at-home dad for about 7-8 years. And it was one of the most challenging times in my life. But what came out of it was the birth of me seeing my love for sports and my love for people, and putting those two things together. So I'll say my love for life, my love for sports, and that's where the life coaching came into play. And interestingly enough, in this day and time, we hear so much about people as life coaches. But I hit the ground running back in 2014 when I started my consult business. It's called Lighthouse Center, and it's dealing with counseling, therapy, coaching, spiritual advisory, things of that nature. But that's where it started. And then you wouldn't believe it, but from that moment, when I chose to embrace what I really knew God always had in me, is when everything just started rolling out. It seemed like things were taking forever to start in my life. I always felt like I couldn't figure it out. But once I boldly stood for what it was that I knew was near and dear to me, that He put in me from conception, stuff just started opening up. Really, that's as simple as that. So where I'm at right now is, like I said, I have a few contracts. I have a contract with a organization here called Hepcat, Yo Baltimore, and I help out with the youth and mentoring through them. And I'm just looking forward for opportunities to really do more of what I do with podcasting and media, but to be able to travel and get paid for it, to be honest with you. Because, and here's why I had to throw that part in. A lot of times some of us shy away from speaking about the compensation piece, but in order to be able to do what we do on a larger scale, that's just the reality of it. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing that I'm being patient, and I'm looking forward to the opportunities of what that has to bring. But I'm remaining service first. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure I say that, because for me, that's what God has showed me in my heart, that as long as you remain a servant of mine to serve my people, I will always take care of you. And that's something that He has not let me down as of yet. And when I say His people, and please let me say this, it doesn't mean as Christians, it means all of His people, because our job is to be a witness to all people, so that we have to really let people know that what we believe is the way to go, but it's not for us to push it. It's for us to share it through our walk, not just our talk. So I just want to make sure I highlight that.
So good. So good. And it's funny you say, your purpose is to travel and to get paid for it, because I'm working with a coach who has me writing the book, and going back to what we were saying earlier, he's been pulling stories out of me and things about life, like asking me these probing questions to kind of make me answer them. And, I would say something, he was like, ooh, that gave me goosebumps. And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, that's a good story that you need to
Yes,
share.
indeed.
And I'm
Yeah,
going,
I love it.
yeah, I'm going, what? I'm like, because it's my story. And I never thought that it was anything but my story. I never thought that, okay, this is something that can impact someone else.
It's amazing that you say that. I tell you something funny. On my and I think I might have said this earlier. I also am a co-host along with 4 other people. It's called Style and Substance, and I have this thing that I say when we have a moment that I get a chill. So it's interesting. It's like a part of our show. They always say when Oryne gets this chill, we know that we're really moving in the right direction. So I get when you said that, it made me think about it. It's something about when we share our stories that when it touches someone. I always think about a good song. When we think about a good song or a movie or particular anything that sends that chill or those goosebumps, we know we're on to something. So it's amazing that you said that, because I look forward to reading your book sometime soon.
Oh, yes, I'm definitely. And it's funny because he has made me change my whole way of thinking and seeing, because now I'm starting to recall and treasure those stories and take notes and everything, because I'm thinking, okay, I learned a lesson from that story.
Yes, indeed.
And I can share this with others. But before that, I was just thinking, okay, whatever. I fell down a flight of stairs. That wasn't anything. But he was like, no, you need to share the stories, give the detail, and it matters. It means something. And it's true. And it's so true.
It is so true.
And
yes,
your story is impactful for someone else. And that's why I'm loving what you're doing, because you're right. Everybody matters. Everybody's story has some value to it.
It does. It really, really does. It really does. And the layers of it, I'll tell you, a lot of times, and I know since we've been talking, maybe a lot of what I said has sound so much. I've spoken so much to the positive piece, but it's really the challenges that I've experienced in my life that have really set me on course for now. As you were just saying it made me think about those things that I remember that I've experienced, and that when I share now, I sometimes don't highlight those moments, but it's in those moments that when people will say to me, they say, "Oryne, can you say that again?" And when I say it again, it's just like you say when you're talking to your writer, it's like you don't even realize that part of your story needs to be told.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be shared. So when that is really, really it in a nutshell. We have to know that all components of who we are and how we've gotten to where we are have to be shared. They really do.
Yeah. And you know what I'm learning? I'm learning that not only do I have a story, but I'm learning not to be ashamed of the good and the bad and the ugly. It's my story.
Yes, indeed. You're so right.
It's my story. So I'm learning slowly but surely. I'm starting to open up and be more vulnerable and share. But it's just so amazing, going back to negativity and things like that. Last year or so, I met this person and I, opened up and I said, okay, I'm going to try being vulnerable. And I shared with this person some mistakes and things I went through. And this person just kind of pounced on me. Oh, condemning me. You're this person. And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, I didn't even know you at this time. I'm being, transparent by sharing something with you from my past that really I didn't have to. And if I didn't, you would have never have known.
Exactly.
But the result of that was I found out that the person who was judging me was the biggest liar and had done some things that were just unthinkable. So
you say it always works, right?
Right. It always works that way. So it's so funny how, and the point I'm making is we are ashamed of our stories, some of the things that maybe we're not so proud of, or maybe it was a mistake. But then there's people out there that are so judgy and so condemning, and they forget that, oh, you probably done something worse. And instead of them having, and I won't even say compassion, because it's not for them to have compassion over your mistakes, but just people to be, humble and be nice to other people.
Exactly. You're so right. I tell you, as you were speaking, I was thinking about the fact of why even the word transparency has become such a word so many of us use in this day and time. But unfortunately, we come to find out that it's still another layer that some of us don't share, which is why I really believe we have to share it. I'll tell you real quick. Years ago, I was at a session with a family, and the particular student I was working with, guardian, had said to me that we should never hold a secret, because for every experience we've experienced, it could save somebody's life. And I was still young at that time. I was probably in my mid-20s, but it was impactful. It was life-changing, because that really also is one of those tools that I was given at a time to realize that whatever I experience, I need to share it. Now, granted, how we share it, when we share it, is something for us to think about. But the importance in realizing that if we know the intent of what we're sharing it for, it's not something that somebody can use against us, but in turn, it will help do something, if not to them, for them, or somebody else. So I know what you mean when you say, sometimes people will use it and seem to, try to throw it back up in our face. But I'll tell you, my honest opinion with that is this: once we've released it, hey, let it do what it's meant to do.
Wow. I can sit and talk to you all day, because it's like we're kindred spirits or something.
Kindred spirits. Yes, indeed. I would agree. This is. I'm so glad to be able to be a guest on your show. I'm really enjoying this. I had no idea that it was going to turn out like this. I'm enjoying this. This is powerful.
Yeah, I feel the same, because as we talked pre-show, neither one of us had any kind of inkling of what we were going into as far as what was happening. So just so the listeners know, I don't set these up with people who I know, and that it's going to be a pre-scripted thing. Nothing is pre-scripted, and
not at all.
it flows. So either it flows or it doesn't flow. So it's flowing today.
It's flowing today. It's all organic today. Yes, indeed.
Okay, Oryne, we're going to move into my questions.
Sure.
We're wrapping up on time here. So I'm going to ask you my 10 questions that I ask of every guest. Are you ready?
Yes, I am. I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Who or what motivates you?
Who or what motivates me? What a great question. It's interesting. I probably off top, you know what? Just people are what motivate me. Just the fact of seeing people remain resilient is what motivates me, and getting a chance to meet people that I never met before and know nothing about them, and then being able to have a conversation with somebody I know nothing about is what motivates me. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay. What demotivates you?
People who are not true to who they are. So what I mean by that is this, and I shared this on a show a couple Sundays ago. Right now we have a particular series that we're doing called Mental Health, with the MEN in all caps. So it's men's mental health. And I was sharing, I said, I give all of me when I meet a person, because I'm believing that that's what I'm to do. What do you say? Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. But what has always challenged me is when people don't realize that they say that that's what they're doing, but then they don't. So what kind of sticks a pin in my balloon sometimes is when people say that they're one thing, but then they in turn are someone else. And I'm big on confrontation. And what I mean by that is I have no problems approaching a person with love, sometimes maybe a little abrasive, but I say, hey, something's inconsistent here. So what's going on? So that's sometimes what kind of demotivates me, if that was the right word I think that you used earlier, is when people aren't consistent in being who they say that they are, but then in turn, when you're trying to be who it is that you say that you are to them as being a friend, they don't really want it. So that's something sometimes that is difficult for me, to be honest with you. Look, and I'll be real transparent. In my marriage, in my family, let alone, with colleagues, like everywhere, that's something that's very, very difficult for me sometimes, and it really is challenging. So I'll just be that. Look, that's some transparency right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. When was a time that something was said or done to hurt you, but it worked out for your good?
Whew. You got some good questions. Okay. I have to share this one. First thing came to my mind, so I'm gonna share it. Had a conversation with my dad when I was about 18. And mind you, my father wasn't in my life growing up. And when my father asked me, I guess he had approached a stage in his life where he wanted to kind of make some peace with something. So he and I took a ride, and he asked me, did it matter to me why I wasn't in your life? And I said, at 18, I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. But it really mattered. So then he said, do you really want to know why? I said, no, not really, but you could tell me. So he said to me, he said, I wasn't going to let anybody dictate to me when I could see you, when I couldn't see you, what I could do and be in your life. So I just said, and here's how he said it. I'm not going to use a word, but I'll just say, he said, F it. I won't be there. I'll, if you want to have a relationship with me when you get older, cool. And so mind you, at 18, that was a big pill to swallow, and it hurt, and so I'll even get a little more transparent. He and I were en route. We were on our way to a bar, and granted, and I sat at the table. Mind you, I was only 18, and I drunk my misery away. But I wanted to share this story for this reason. It was one of the greatest things that ever I experienced, because it freed me from understanding that what I thought that I wanted, what I thought was wrong, or what I thought was whatever it was, wasn't what it was. And he gave it to me in the rawest sense. But what he really did was let me know that, hey, live your life. Whatever we're to have at this age or at this stage and moving forward, we'll have it. But it's going to be based upon you and I, not anybody else. So that was something that hurt, but it helped me. Hopefully that was a good enough story for you, I guess. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
Wow. Okay. What is your fear?
If I had to be honest, I probably don't think as much into fear, and I'll tell you why. When I really was struggling with some things mental health wise some years back, and I didn't really know what was going on psychologically with me. Now, granted, since I was a kid, I received some type of counseling and therapy for different experience. I experienced a lot of challenges and trauma growing up, and as I was a young man and really still having some things going on, I wanted to really get it together and figure it out so I could be more empowered. The scripture, and I couldn't tell you on how the scripture came to me, but it was that it says the Lord would not give you the spirit of fear, but the spirit of power, love, and a disciplined mind. So when I really started feeding off of that scripture, and really when I started going deeper into the word of God, if to be honest with you, fear kind of left. I really do not fear much of anything. It doesn't mean that I don't stay on point, because I grew up with a lot of different experiences. So with that being said, I'm always aware of what's going on, but I don't really function in fear. I function in faith. I kind of believe that what God has for me, is for me, and that He'll protect me. I mean, I've been through a lot. So to a lot that I've already been through, if it hadn't been able to, to be fully carried out, I'm pretty good. So that's the first thing I can say when it comes to fear. I really don't fear much of anything.
Okay. Is there a time when you wish you had done something that you didn't?
Yes. This is a great question. And hopefully I'm not talking too much as I answer.
There's no judgment, and I have no reply to them because they're your answers.
Gotcha. Okay. So can you repeat that one more time for me?
Okay. Is there a time when you wish you had done something that you didn't?
First thing came to my mind is when I was in the 8th grade, I wish I chose to follow what my first love is the arts, and move forward with going into the school that we have here that's called Baltimore School for the Arts, and pursue more at that time my love of music, my love of arts, my love of dance, where instead, because I grew up in the inner city, and back in the day, people don't sing, they don't dance, they don't play instruments. Everybody plays ball and run the streets and, do a whole lot of other stuff. So I chose to dumb it down and get more into sports and get more into other things that weren't really what my first true love was. So that's the only thing that I would have to say is something that I know you didn't use the word regret, but I always say that's one of the only things I would say is a regret of mine. But I got to say, things have been able to full circle come around as I've gotten older, and my love of what it is that I wish I took advantage of then never went anywhere. So that's the only thing that comes to my mind. First thing, I just kind of answered it off the top. First thing came to my mind.
Okay. Now here's the other one. Is there a time that you wish you had not done something?
Time that I wish I did not do something. That's a good one. I'm stumped right there. You know what? I will say I don't really fully know how to um, properly answer that, even if that's the right way to say properly answer it. First thing comes to my mind is say yes to certain things that I wish I've said no to, and say no to certain things that I've said yes to. So that. And I know that probably is too general, but I have to kind of answer it that way because I think that that's something that still happens in my life, and I think in probably a lot of our lives is we experience certain things sometimes that it's like, man, I wish I didn't say yes to that. Because I'm a person that I'm always, down to help somebody, and it's times that I wish I really exercised the word no. Matter of fact, I'll give you one as I was talking. Renting a property I have here to someone that I knew going in, they weren't going to take care of it and tend to it the way that I wanted them to. So I wish I had said no, but then in turn, it actually still worked out in the long run that, that they were able to, receive something from it if it no more was an intervention, with me. So that's probably one. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Okay. What is your definition of success?
Oh, wow. Yeah, great question. My definition of success is finding out what you really believe you were put here to do and do it. Live life on your terms, and your terms meaning whatever it is that you know is what burns within you in doing it. That's to me what success is. Like, it doesn't have to be something, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be something so grandiose, something that's on a large scale that everybody in the world tunes into, but just really figuring out what life is meant to be for you and do it. That would be what success is.
Okay. How do you recharge?
How do I recharge? Wow. I had someone ask me this the other day. I fail in that area, to be honest with you. And why I said I fail in that area is because failure is good because it teaches us where we have to become stronger. So I don't do well at recharging. What I'm learning to do better at is taking time for me by saying no to certain things and certain people. So that's something that I've begun to work a lot better with just lately, probably within the past couple of years. So to recharge, sometimes I just sit still. Sometimes I take a ride. Sometimes I, walk through a store. But that has become something I've just begun to do more now is to recharge. Is just kind of move away from everything that I'm committed to and recommit back to me.
Okay. What are you awesome at?
Listening.
Okay.
Listening. I would say to me, listening is something that I pride myself in, really listening.
Okay. What legacy do you want to leave?
The best way I could answer that is this. I really don't focus on what I want to leave as much as I focus on how I want to live. And here's why I say that this way. We have no idea of when the last is. So to me, I try to let my focus be on capitalizing on every moment as much as I can. Now, granted, I want to say that to be honest, as much as I can, and just living it to its fullest, cherishing people and who they are. Going back to what we were talking about earlier with our platforms and our podcast, getting to know and meet people and helping them see that their stories have to be shared. So just, being a servant, a servant to people, and in turn, as we say, in order to really be a blessing to people, we have to first be blessed because we have to have something to give. So always allow my life to be open, to be blessed, so I can continuously be a blessing. That's the best way I could answer that question, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, that wraps up our 10 questions. So give the listeners one motivational takeaway.
One motivational takeaway. Tune your heart in along with your ears to listen to people more and not just hear them. You and I were talking about earlier that it's a significant difference in listening and hearing. So just to your listeners, really care to want to listen to somebody today, tomorrow, this week, this month, this year, and let them know that they matter. That would be what I want to say to your listeners.
Okay. So as we wrap up here, tell the listeners where they can connect with you, your podcast, and if they need a life coach.
Gotcha. So right now, I'll say this: my Instagram and Facebook are under construction right now, but my Facebook for the O Factor is the O Factor. For Instagram, it's Be the O Factor. So like I said, it's under construction, so it's just starting back up again as of yesterday. But you can check out the O Factor on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. You either can type in the O Factor or type in my name, Oryne Stewart, ORYNE STEWART. And as you listen to my podcast, you'll hear my commercial in between that can tell you more about where you can reach me in order to either have me come speak. If you would like to have me become your coach, I coach over the phone. I coach up close and personal, so I can come to you, whatever the case may be. But my phone number is 443-740-5504. Please don't hesitate at all to give me a call. I'm here to make a difference in your life and the lives of those that we love. So, yep.
All right, Oryne. Well, thank you for being on Trina Talk. It's been a blast, and hopefully we'll keep in contact.
Yes, we will. Please. I look forward to working with you in the future. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Trina. I appreciate it.
Thank you. If you like this podcast, please don't forget to go out to iTunes to rate and review it. It helps other people find Trina Talk so that they can have inspiration as well. Also, please don't forget to join me on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time as I go live on Facebook. If you're looking for a speaker for your live event or conference, go to my website and read my bio and contact me at bit.ly/booktrina. I hope you have a great week. Until then, remember, if you change your mindset, you'll change your life. Keep striving. Success is a journey, not a destination. You can listen to Trina Talk anytime and anywhere. It's available on iTunes, Google Play Music, Stitcher, Spotify, and all other places that you can listen to podcasts. If you like the podcast, please don't forget to go to iTunes to subscribe, rate, review, and share. If you have questions for me or need inspiration on how to go to the next level, tweet me directly at Trina L. Martin.